What if I told you that entire countries have vanished from history? Not just conquered or renamed, but completely erased from memory. Today, we're diving into 5 lost nations that once ruled vast territories, commanded armies, and shaped the world, before disappearing forever.
Our first lost country existed for just 600 days, but its story reveals one of history's most desperate attempts at survival. Meet the Italian Social Republic, better known as the Republic of Salo. In September 1943, as Allied forces invaded Italy, a rump state emerged in the north. Stretching from the Swiss border to the Adriatic Sea, this forgotten republic controlled nearly half of Italy's territory. But its existence was built on a foundation of desperation and foreign occupation. The Republic adopted a striking new flag, the traditional Italian tricolor, but with a silver eagle clutching a fasces at its center. This wasn't just symbolism, it was a declaration that fascism would survive even as the original regime crumbled. The eagle represented imperial power, while the fasces, a bundle of rods, symbolized unity through strength. But symbols couldn't mask the reality. This was a puppet state, propped up by German bayonets. At its head stood a man who had once commanded respect across Europe, Benito Mussolini himself. Dramatically rescued from imprisonment by German commandos in a daring mountaintop raid, Il Duce found himself ruling a shadow of his former empire. From his headquarters in the small town of Salo on Lake Garda, Mussolini attempted to rebuild fascist Italy. But the man who had once strutted on Rome's balconies was now a hollow shell, dependent on his former allies turned occupiers. The end came swiftly. As German forces collapsed in April 1945, Mussolini attempted to flee to Switzerland. He was captured by Italian partisans, executed, and his body displayed in Milan's Piazzale Loreto. The Republic of Salo died with him. In just 600 days, an entire state had risen and fallen, leaving behind only a footnote in history and a reminder that even the mightiest can be reduced to shadows. Imagine a French lawyer convincing indigenous warriors to crown him king of a territory larger than France itself. This isn't fantasy. It's the incredible true story of the Kingdom of Araucanía and Patagonia. In 1860, this unlikely nation stretched across the southern Andes, encompassing vast forests, mountain ranges, and grasslands. For nearly a decade, it existed as a legitimate kingdom, recognized by some European powers and fiercely defended by its indigenous inhabitants. The kingdom's flag told the story of an impossible alliance, blue and white stripes representing the Mapuche people, with a green star symbolizing hope and independence from Chilean rule. This wasn't just a colonial fantasy. The Mapuche had fought Spanish conquistadors for 3 centuries, never fully conquered. They saw in this strange arrangement a chance to formalize their sovereignty and gain European recognition. The man they crowned was Aurélie Antoine de Tournon, a French adventurer who had studied law and dreamed of empire. Arriving in Chile in 1858, he convinced Mapuche leaders that European recognition could protect their independence. On November 17, 1860, Mapuche chiefs formally elected him King Antoine I. For 3 years, he ruled from the wilderness, establishing laws, minting currency, and attempting to build a modern state in one of the world's most remote regions. The Chilean government had other plans. In 1862, they captured the would-be king, declared him insane, and deported him to France. Despite several attempts to return, his kingdom crumbled without European support. The Mapuche continued their resistance for decades, but the Kingdom of Araucanía became a historical curiosity. Today, pretenders still claim the throne, but the dream of a Mapuche nation recognized by Europe died with its French king. What if an entire country was nothing more than an elaborate lie? Welcome to Poyes, a Central American paradise that existed only in the imagination of one of history's greatest con artists. According to lavish brochures and official documents, Poyes stretched along the Caribbean coast, blessed with fertile soil, abundant gold, and a thriving capital city called St. Joseph. 8 million acres of pure opportunity waiting for European settlers. The principality even had its own flag, a simple tricolour of yellow, blue and red, representing the supposed wealth, waters and vitality of this tropical paradise. Government bonds were issued, currency was printed, and official appointments were made. On paper, Poyais looked more legitimate than many real countries. The problem? None of it existed. The mastermind was Gregor MacGregor, a Scottish soldier who had fought in the South American Wars of Independence. Using his military reputation and forged documents, he convinced investors that local indigenous leaders had granted him sovereignty over vast territories. From 1820 to 1837, MacGregor sold government bonds, land certificates, and even military commissions for his fictional country. He established a Poyais embassy in London and convinced hundreds of families to emigrate to their new home. The tragic truth was revealed when the first settlers arrived at the supposed capital. Instead of a thriving city, they found empty swampland. Of the 270 original colonists, only 50 survived disease and starvation. MacGregor fled to France, where he attempted the same scam before finally being arrested. The Principality of Poyais died with its creator's reputation, but not before destroying hundreds of lives and fortunes. In 1895, as the Japanese Empire expanded across East Asia, the island of Taiwan declared independence in one of history's most defiant acts of resistance. For 151 days, the Republic of Formosa stood as Asia's first democratic republic. This wasn't just a political maneuver, it was a desperate attempt by Chinese officials and Taiwanese leaders to prevent Japanese colonization. The Republic controlled the entire island, established a parliament, and even created its own currency. The Republic's flag was a powerful symbol of resistance, a blue field with a fierce yellow tiger representing Taiwan's determination to fight for its independence. The tiger wasn't just decorative. In Chinese culture, it symbolized courage and military prowess. The message was clear: Taiwan would not submit without a fight, regardless of the odds. Leading this unlikely republic was Tang Jingsong, a Chinese general who had been appointed governor of Taiwan. When the Qing dynasty ceded the island to Japan in the Treaty of Shimonoseki, Tang refused to accept the decision. On May 25, 1895, he declared Taiwan's independence and established the Republic of Formosa. For the first time in Asian history, a Chinese territory had declared itself a democratic republic, complete with elected officials and constitutional government. The Japanese response was swift and overwhelming. Modern imperial forces crushed the Republic's irregular army, and Tang fled to mainland China after just 12 days in office. By October 1895, Japanese forces had conquered the entire island. The Republic of Formosa was dead, but its spirit lived on. The dream of Taiwanese independence would resurface again and again throughout the 20th century. Our final lost country might be the strangest of all, a tiny territory that existed for over a century simply because two great powers couldn't agree on who should own it. Neutral Morsnet was barely 3 square kilometers, smaller than most airports. But for 103 years, this microscopic nation existed in the heart of Europe, governed by neither Belgium nor Prussia, but by the simple power of bureaucratic confusion. The territory never had an official flag, but its symbol was the humble zinc mine that made it valuable. The Vieille Montagne mine was one of Europe's richest sources of zinc, essential for industrial development. This wasn't just about a small patch of land, it was about economic control. Both Belgium and Prussia wanted access to the zinc deposits, but neither could agree on terms for division. The territory's existence began with the Congress of Vienna in 1815, when diplomats drawing new European borders simply couldn't decide where to place this small area. Their solution? Leave it neutral and governed by both powers jointly. For over a century, neutral Morsnet existed in bureaucratic limbo. It had its own postal system, its own currency, and even its own language movement. Some residents even proposed making it a homeland for Esperanto speakers. World War I finally ended the anomaly. When Germany invaded Belgium in 1914, neutral Morsnet's strange status became impossible to maintain. The Treaty of Versailles formally awarded the territory to Belgium in 1919. Today, the area is simply part of Belgium, its unique history marked only by a small monument. But for over a century, this tiny territory proved that sometimes the most unlikely countries can survive through pure bureaucratic inertia. 5 lost countries, 5 incredible stories of ambition, deception, resistance, and simple human error. These forgotten nations remind us that history is written by the survivors, and that even the most unlikely places can claim sovereignty, if only for a moment. Which lost country surprised you the most? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more forgotten history.